guys, and welcome back to an episode of Off the Shelf. I am your host, Ronin Time HD, and this week, what we found off the shelf was... Battle Royale, released in 2000, based on the 1999 novel of the same name. It is directed by, bear with me here, Kinji Fukasaku. I'm very sorry. Starring, starring Tatsuya Fujiwara, Aki Maeda, Toru Yamamoto, and Takeshi Kitano. I'm very sorry, I very likely butchered all of those names. I apologize deeply. But this film is a, shall we say, like thriller slash, it's a thriller, but also like a dystopian action movie. It's mostly dystopian action thriller. I don't know. It's those things. I didn't say them in the right order, but it's those three things. And if you didn't already tell by the name of the film, it is, you know, very basically the pioneer of the Battle Royale genre, as well as basically a pioneer of the death game genre, which I'm sure you're familiar with, you know, with like movies like Ready or Not, or The Hunt, or say the Squid Game, the TV show on Netflix. There's a lot of different death game stuff that, if like the Hunger Games as well. Obviously, some of these things maybe not have been directly based on this movie, but their influence likely derived from this movie, and the novel as well that it was based on. But either way, as well as the fucking Battle Royale video game genre, one of the biggest, if not the biggest game in the world is called Fortnite Battle Royale. It's literally just the name of the movie, or the story, with Fortnite preceding it, right? This movie, I think its influence since its release is undeniable, right? I think literally probably one of the most influential films since its release. And I think it genuinely, and not only is it influential, it's just a really enjoyable film. Like, obviously there can be, like, maybe filmmakers, films, what have you, artists in general, they can be really influential, but sometimes influence doesn't always mean that they're the best. That just means that they influence things that could have, you know, exceeded them. But this is not the case, in my opinion. I think this film is still, to this day, incredibly enjoyable and just a really fun film. To the fact that I think, like, my favorite aspect of the film, which is the characters, right? The core trio of, you know, our main three leads. And I love their dynamic so much, to the point where you have, like, you know, you have the badass, you know, headband-toting, fucking Spaz 12 shotgun carrying, you know, like, previous survivor of a Battle Royale game, and he's just kind of in there. He's in there because he wanted to know because his girlfriend was in the games with him, and she basically sacrificed herself. She died so that he could live, and then she smiled as she died, and he wanted to figure out, why was she smiling? Why? He wants to know. So he re-entered the games again so that he could figure it out. And of course, the host of the games is this class, because if you don't know the plot of Battle Royale, the whole point is that it's like, after a recession, Japan is like ruled over by like a totalitarian, like fascist government that passed a law where every year a Battle Royale game will be played by like a 7th grade school class, where they'll all murder each other until there's only one left. So this class that gets sent in, the main class that we're following in the movie, their teacher, who had been kicked out of their school before the games they had been selected, and so he comes back to be like the host of the games, basically. That's Takeshi Kitano's character, who's named Kitano, right? And he was literally directed to act as himself, right? He was literally acted, just be yourself. because it would kind of, I guess they wanted to add like an authenticity to the like game show aspect of the movie, because Takeshi Kitano, if you didn't know, had a game show called Takeshi's Castle in the late 80s and really, really early 90s. And essentially, the film also, I just love Takeshi Kitano's character. He's just like, he's an interesting character because at first he seems like kind of sadistic, right? He's basically reveling in the fact that these like middle schoolers are all horrified and like don't even know what the fuck's going on. He's basically like mocking them the whole time while he's like blowing their throats open with explosive collars, which again, more influence, like explosive collars. Maybe that was something else came up with that, but I certainly can't name something that came up with it before 2000. Either way, he was an interesting character because also at the beginning he is like the main antagonist of the movie, right? Being the host of the games, like these death games, he also kind of like, is like basically taunting all the students the whole time through a big speaker, right? Like not big, but through a big like transmission, I guess is a better way to say it, like a big announcement every few hours about the people who have died and how much time they have left, this and that, about the danger zones that will close, and if any people are in those danger zones, their collars will explode. But I think like he was a fun part of the movie, and I enjoyed his presence. But I think, as I said, my opinion, the like central characters, the main trio were great. As I said, I really liked the tough guy, like dude who was a survivor. I liked the main kind of like everyman character who was trying to protect the girl who was like the second. Well, not second. She was the final piece of the main trio. He's trying to protect her because his like best friend had a crush on her. And his, like, basically last wish was for him to protect her, right? So he basically was like, I will do anything. I will give my life to protect you, because that was my best friend's, like, last wish, was for me to protect you. And he goes by his word. He literally is, like, limping, can barely walk, like, walking with a stick, like he's an old man, like, with bandages all over him. And he's still going, because he swore that he would protect her, and he goes by his word. And she is also interesting because she has a strange connection with Kitano, and not like a connection in the sense that like at the end I didn't really understand it. Maybe upon a rewatch I'll understand it a bit more, but they kind of establish the fact that Kitano, he doesn't have a very good relationship with his daughter. His daughter like hates him, right? And all the students hate him. Even before, obviously, he was hosting a game that was going to get 99% of them killed. They hated him before that, because, they're kids. They don't like grown-ups. They naturally don't like adults. But the main girl, Noriko, I believe her name was, she didn't hate him, right? She, didn't hate him. So he kind of attached to her and saw her as his daughter, right? At the end I think that's what, he was kind of describing at the end of the movie. And I found that also interesting, but, of course, she's kind of, the one who's tagging along, because, in most movies like this, where it's, like, a dystopian movie or whatever movie, you have the character that the two capable characters, when really Kawada is, is the survivor. He's, the only really capable member of the trio. I mean, the main guy, he tries, but he tries. I'll give him an A for effort, okay? I don't want to talk bad about him. Either way, I do, because in a lot of movies like this, you usually have, the character that they're trying to protect, right? Where they're, going through hell to protect this one character. It's a very common trope. But I still liked her. I still thought, I don't know, I just really liked the banter that they had. I remember there was, a running gag that I really liked that I didn't pick up on at first, where at the so there's a little gag where they take, the girl was injured, right? So he takes her to Kawada for him to patch her up, and he, stitches her up, puts bandages on her, and he's like, she's like, hey, these bandages are so well put together, and he goes, yeah, my dad was a doctor. And then he starts cooking, and he's like, this is so good, and he's like, yeah, my dad was a chef. And then at the end of the movie, they go, oh, I didn't know you knew how to sail a boat, and he's like, yeah, my dad was a fisherman. Right? That was a fun little like running bit that they had. I don't know. I just really liked their dynamic. They were a very fun and entertaining core trio. But of course, you also had other side characters. I liked this red-haired dude and his boys. They were like trying to hack into, you know, Kitano and like his center, his like HQ, and escape. They were gonna take off their collars and get out. They were gonna blow up the school and cause like a revolution. They were gonna, you know, do that and this. Unfortunately, they don't, but I liked their little side plot. I loved Crazy Dude. I don't remember his name. He didn't say a single word. He had like this black suit on. He had like this almost fully buttoned, but not quite, like, dress shirt on. He had really crazy orange hair. And he's like the main threat throughout the movie. Like, Kitano's the main antagonist, but Crazy Dude, sorry, that's just what I'm going to call him. He was the main consistent threat throughout the movie because, like, he was just a force of nature, really. They don't even really give him a motivation. He's literally like a natural disaster. Like, if he comes across you, you are fucked, right? He is going to fuck you up. And that's what I kind of liked about him, is that he literally was basically just an obstacle. But you might say that might be a problem, because what if you wanted an actual, like, character to be a threatening force? Well, there was Mitsuko, who I think is actually a really interesting character in of herself. She's kind of like, how do I describe it? She's crazy. She's crazy just like Crazy Dude, but she's crazy in a different way. So essentially, she's kind of like, she'll either trick you and then kill you, or she'll just kill you on the spot. It depends on how she's feeling, right? She'll either trick you and then kill you, or just kill you on the spot, like I said. And I like her because also she has she has a tragic backstory. So her mother sold her into she sold her into prostitution when she was like a tiny little itty bitty child, and for drug money, right? So she got really, I guarantee, really damaged by that, and she was really neglected, and she was an outcast, and nobody really liked her. So of course now she has the opportunity to take it all out on the people that she hates, right? So she's like just having a grand old time, but she also obviously has the trauma of not only being bullied by her peers, but also being neglected as a child. And like when she dies, when she gets killed by Crazy Dude, and of course Crazy Lady and Crazy Dude had to have their confrontation, their final fight, which made the most sense. And of course Crazy Dude came on top because he's just built different. But when she died, it said, I just didn't want to be a loser. Because basically for her whole life, she hadn't been in control of anything, right? And everybody just thought she was a loser, right? So she could be a winner in this case, right? Where she may not have friends, but she doesn't, I guess she may not have friends, but she doesn't really need them because nobody likes her. And she just wanted to win, right? She wanted to be in control of something. And I think that's interesting because I thought her character was kind of tragic when they added that bit of backstory. Because here's the thing. They didn't add that backstory until the very end when she was getting fucking pepper sprayed by Crazy Dude, right? They added that at the fucking very end of her character. And like the whole time I was kind of rooting against her, and obviously she's crazy and she murders people, but I do kind of feel bad for her because, I mean, she was just a victim of her, situation, I guess, if that makes sense. She was a victim of how she was raised, and it wasn't necessarily her fault she ended the way she did. Although it is her fault that she ended up picking a fight with Crazy Dude. That's just a bad idea. The only reason he lost at the end of the movie was because he was weakened. If he wasn't weakened, he would have won. I don't know why. I'm just obsessed with Crazy Dude. Hell yeah. But then, of course, the ending of the movie, which I'm not going to really go into too much here. I obviously did mention the whole Kitano, Noriko daughter thing, but I think, I don't want to say everything about the movie because I still think you should watch it. I mean, I have spoiled a lot of things, right? But I mean, the movie is called Battle Royale, and there can only be one. Right? So there can only be one winner, right? So who's going to win? I guess I haven't revealed who the winner is. So maybe just watch the movie. Because if you couldn't already tell, I think this movie is is really great. I think it's really enjoyable, and I think overall, it's such a fun movie. And obviously, you can tell I like this movie and I recommend it. But with that being said, what would I rate it? I don't think this is bias. I think this is, well, it is biased because it's my opinion. Either way, I would rate this film an 8 out of 10. And, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to say. Thank you for my piece. So, guys, I hope you like this video. Share it with your friends. Subscribe. Turn those notifications on. Comment down below on how much you liked it. And I've been Ronin Time HD. Off to be the last man standing. There was a really big controversy with this film when it first came out. And, of course, they wanted to censor this film to shit. They thought it was so terrible and vulgar, super violent. It was gonna, of course, it was like Japanese conservatives, and of course they did the usual conservative thing where they're like, oh, it's gonna cause violence amongst the youth. This is gonna create violence, when that's not really how entertainment works. The controversy actually brought more attention to the movie. It was basically free publicity, and it caused, like, all the kids, like, all the teenagers that the film was basically that was the core demographic for the movie. They saw that and they're like, hey, violence, blood and all this murder, that sounds right up my alley. That sounds fucking great. Fuck the system. I'm gonna go watch this movie, right? It's like, well, yeah, it's more like, oh, they don't want me to see it? Well, I gotta go see it now that the government doesn't want me to see it, right? Or at least the censors don't want them to see it. And I just think that was a really entertaining, like, bit of my research, and it's also funny because the director said, if you gotta sneak in to watch the movie, go ahead. You have my blessing. Do it. Do what kids do, right? And that's super fucking amazing.